Thank you and welcome again to our new episode on our journey to financial wellness. As usual, I'm your coach, CPA Tonie Njiru. Today, I'm excited that we shall be discussing a topic on resilience and execution because we have had many plans. The only reason they may not translate into results is probably because we have not executed. We have not moved to converting them into reality. As usual, I implore you to click on the subscribe button. From our previous episodes, many have viewed, yet more than 70% are not subscribing. So if you can kindly click on that bell, subscribe, so that anytime we have a new episode, then you can always get up to date. And if you feel you have more information, you can always share with us, share with our community, share with this family on the comments. So today we start off by discussing resilience. And when we talk of resilience, we are looking at the capacity to recover, the capacity to be able to forge on despite the difficulties that may be there in the economic or financial environment. So resilience is our capacity to withstand difficulties in financial realm, our capacity to be able to be innovative and come up with new ways. I like emphasizing this issue of resilience by telling a story from the village, where back then in the village, we had one posho mill in the village where everybody would go and get their maize flour from the posho mill. And the entire village relied on one posho mill. Then there came a time when there was a new investor who brought in a new posho mill. And the customers, the client of the old posho mill, all deserted and moved to the new posho mill. And they were excited because this was a new posho mill. So they abandoned the old uh, posho mill that had served them for many, many years. And the old posho mill was then left with no customers. After a couple of months without customers, then there was a rumor in the village that the new posho mill had growled a snake in the posho mill. There was a snake that had been growled into the posho mill, and everybody left the posho mill. They all went back to the old posho mill, and the new investor was left with no customers. So over time, after a few weeks, the new investor then decided to do away with the posho mill business, and he took away the posho mill, brought in a new posho mill, when was left without any posho mill business, and the entire village was then left relying on the old posho mill. After another few weeks, the investor of the new posho mill, who had taken away the blue posho mill that he had invested in, bought a new posho mill, this time a green one. And the customers, the villagers, now split themselves. Some remained in the old posho mill, others moved into the new posho mill, because others were of the view that most likely he repainted the same new posho mill that he had. And of course, he had repainted it. To put this analogy into our lives, there are times that we need to repaint our lives so that we can move forward. You don't need to change your spouse because probably you're not making money with them. You just need to think, how do we operate differently? Because you may not get wealthy with the spouse that you have, or you may not get wealthy doing the things that you are doing. How can you be able to innovate and think differently so that you're able to grow financially? Take note that if you look at, for instance, the day, a day has 24 hours. So there is no time you'll find a day that has 36 hours. So you have to innovate around the same. You have to paint the day differently so that you can be able to move forward. So resilience means that even when times appear to be difficult economically, we must save, and our savings must be invested where they can generate income, and our investments must then be compounded. The second issue that we would wish to discuss today that links onto that is a question of execution. Because many of us have had plans that we have not converted into reality. So we need to execute. Execution, there is a saying that says failing to plan is planning to fail. But I tell you, failing to execute is actually failing. You can never succeed without execution. You may succeed without a plan by chance, but you will not succeed without execution. So you'd rather execute without a plan than planning without ever executing. And we can see a picture there of someone who is proposing. It's a marriage proposal. As we are aware, marriage proposals is a time of high expectation, especially from the ladies, because at times the men may overpromise. A man may tell a lady, "You are my entire world." When they get married, the lady realizes that the man has no resources, and the man will say, "When I told you you're my entire world, precisely that is what I meant. I have nothing else." Because as men, they may overpromise, but there are periods of high expectations from both ladies as well as the men. There is a period of high expectation, but then comes the reality. The same with your finances. During planning stage, you have high expectation that you will turn around, especially during the new year. We set aside very beautiful plans during the new year, just like in the marriage proposals. As a lady, you're looking at your man and you're imagining this one is different from other men. This one will be coming home together with the chicken. As the chicken are coming back home, he's also trooping in home. It's only when you're married, you realize that the fella will be coming in the morning when the chicken are leaving. So you have to find a way to make sure that you execute right, because execution determines the results. You have beautiful plans like the plans you can see there on your screen, but then when it comes to executing, you can see the nature of how we execute. So execution will determine our results. Otherwise, without execution, we die with our plans. You can see the way people plan, the plans that you can see there on your screens, and you can see the execution. The execution, because we are planning to be physically fit, we are planning to be financially wealthy, but we're not putting the effort into the execution. How are we executing this plan? We must be proactive. We must leverage on what we call lead measures. We must take steps. We don't wait until you have been thrown out of your house. That is when you say, "I could have started a business." You don't wait until you have been retrenched from your employer. That is when you start saying, "I could have invested passively." You have to be proactive. You have to take measures like what you're seeing on the screen are fruits, vegetables, someone who is eating healthy, as opposed to waiting until you have gotten to a position where you're already in ill health. Then you try to exercise to lose weight, you try to consume fluids and so on and so forth. Finally, you need to maintain a record. A record is a measure of how you're performing, so that you're able to come from your history. You can see your past performances, like the picture you're seeing there, performance between Manchester United and Arsenal, or the next one that you can see between the same teams. You can be able to see record of past performances, a record of past performances. And for you to grow, you must execute, and you must execute what you're doing to the level best. That if you're a person who is maybe what we call the hustlers, you are maybe a transport guy, you do transport like nobody else has ever done it. And with that, with execution, then there will be results. There will be results. So without execution, there can be no results. So thank you very much for listening to us in this episode. Kindly comment, tell us what you think about the episode, areas you'd like us to discuss. As usual, I'm your financial coach, CPA Tonie Njiru. We shall, in our next episode, be discussing passive investments, how you can invest passively. We shall also, in another episode, be discussing active investments. I will also be telling you my journey in the financial wellness, where I was, the mistakes that I have made, so that we can be better as the wellness community. So thank you very much. Kindly like our channel, like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on social media: Facebook, Tonie Njiru, Instagram, Tonie Njiru, and TikTok at Tonie Njiru. Thank you very much.